Well, I am so excited to have you, Sharyn Wynters, on my podcast, Integrative Cancer Solution with Dr. Karlfeldt. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure. And it is kind of fun when I go on your website, you get to pick, do I want to pick the actress or the singer or the naturopath? Yeah, who am I picking?
I'm a woman and a Gemini. What are you going to do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I've had many different journeys, but it's all leading to this today.
Yeah. And it's just fascinating how you started in one place, and now obviously you do all three, but then stepping into your calling to help people on their journey, battling cancer. And this is after you had your own journey with cancer.
Yeah. So I was an actress, right?
Yes.
I came to Hollywood at 18 and landed Catgirl and Batman. 2 weeks later, I just thought that was the thing to do, and had no consciousness, didn't know anything about my body. I was hungry. I stop in a Jack in the Box and throw things in, and I did a lot of things to destroy my body.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was 26, I was diagnosed with cancer. And back in those days, I didn't know anybody that had cancer. And I decided I would rather die than be cut up. And it was an ego thing, actually.
Well, I mean, you're an actress, and your visual appearance is what you value. That's what's shown on the screen. So then to be disfigured in any way, your body being disfigured is the last thing you want to do.
Right. So I went into this journey, and it's been an incredible journey. I didn't tell anybody except a good friend of mine, Susan Strasberg, whose father was Lee Strasberg. You're not in the acting community, so I don't know, but he was like from the Actors Studio, and she was into metaphysics, and she was a friend of Jess Stearns, who wrote the Edgar Cayce books.
Oh, yeah.
So Jess and I became good friends, and I started to go to psychic healers and all these different things. And then one day, and I really believe there are no accidents, I ran into a woman who had terminal cancer, and they opened and closed and gave her 6 months to live. And she told me about a dentist in Grapevine, Texas, who was curing cancer through nutrition. I remember my eyes rolling up. Right, the medical profession doesn't have an answer, but some dentist is curing cancer. And she said, "What do you have to lose?" Mm-hmm. And I got those chills up my spine, and I went, right. And on November 22nd, I flew to Dallas, and I was alone. I was scared. I felt like I had leprosy. I didn't have a community like we have today. When somebody gets ill, people have a community, and they were having this big parade in Dallas because it was November 22nd, years later, and they were, honoring Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And I get into a cab, and the cab driver says, "Where are you going to?" I said, "Grapevine." He said, "Grapevine? Nobody goes to Grapevine." And now I was just back there last year. Grapevine is an incredible town, but it wasn't like that 50 years ago, right? And so cab driver takes me to this podunk little town, and Dr. Kelly's office was next door to a funeral parlor. And I remember thinking, well, if door number 1 doesn't work, I can always go into door number 2.
Yeah, you don't have to go that far.
Right. And I knew nothing about health. I knew nothing about nutrition. He put me in his dentist chair, and he took a drop of blood. First, he says, "Let me see your mouth." And I opened my mouth, and he said, "Well, the first thing that we're going to have to do is you're going to have to get rid of those silver fillings." Oh boy, I've done some really dumb things in my time, Sharyn, but what does that have to do with anything?
Exactly.
Connect the dots, right? I had no connection to anything. He took a drop of blood from my finger. He came back an hour later. He told me where my cancer was, how long I had it, and what I needed to do if I was going to live.
Are you serious? From a drop of blood?
Yeah.
So what did he do? Like the microscopy? Did he?
I have no idea. He leaves. He takes your blood. He leaves, and he comes back, and he knew nothing about me. but he was so right on. And I remember him saying to me, the only thing that's keeping you alive is your spiritual nature. I didn't even know what that was. I had no idea. And I went,
Here's talking about it talking about silver fillings, and then it takes a drop of blood and it tells you the whole story of you, and then now you're on a spiritual journey. Yeah,
right,
you got cancer. Yeah, let's focus on that.
So I flew back that night with a box with about 250 vitamins, minerals, enzymes, because his whole thing was about enzymes, right? And instructions on what to do, coffee enemas, and and on and on and on. And I just sat there I had a townhouse at the time, and just broke down and cried. I just lost it. I went, it was so overwhelming to me. I mean, this is before computers, before cell phones, before that type of communication. And it was really interesting because that night, Susan and I were starting a class called Mind Dynamics, how to get into your alpha brain level waves. And so I went to class, and I said, if this is to be, it's up to me. And I'm the type of person, tell me what to do and I will do it. And I did his protocols to the T. I mean, I did everything he asked me to do. I took a bag and I threw out all my toxins and makeup and I never even thought of that everything that you put in, on and around your body is the cause of disease. And that needs to be addressed. And, years later, I wrote a 500-page book called The Pure Cure, Complete Guide to Freeing Your Life from Dangerous Toxins. And it's 20 different chapters, 20 different areas of concerns, and then solutions at the end of each chapter. So it's basically a reference book.
Mm-hmm.
And but back then I had no idea, and to try and find stuff that wasn't toxic was quite incredible.
Well, I mean that this was back in 1974, or when was this?
1971, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 1974.
1974. So yeah, at that time we really didn't have many health food stores. It's not like you could walk into Whole Foods or Mrs. Gucci's or Co-op or something like that.
That was before all of that.
Yeah.
So, and then it was like, I'm so grateful I had it, because it was my wake-up call.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a call from the doctor's office, said that if you don't come into the office, we won't be held responsible to what happens to you medically. And I had a class 5 pap smear. And so I went in and took the test, and they called me back a week later and they said, you need to come in again. There was a mistake. And I went back again, took another test, and went back to his office. And he said, I don't understand it. It's normal. It went from a class 5 to normal. And in my naivety, I said, oh, well, I went to a dentist in Grapevine, Texas, and I'm taking coffee enemas and I'm taking all these enzymes. And he started laughing at me. And I went, wait a minute. You were offering me a hysterectomy.
Yeah.
I don't care if what I was taking was monkey dust. It worked.
Yeah.
It worked. And I walked out. And
so,
then
so what kind of cancer did you have?
What helped? I had stomach.
A stomach
and uterine.
Okay, stomach and uterine cancer.
Mm-hmm. And it was spreading. And then I also had something in my throat. I was spitting blood. I couldn't talk. And to get to Texas was not an easy thing. I was really, really sick. I would eat a salad and gain 4 pounds. My stomach would be out to here. I had, I was a mess. And then Kelly wanted me to come back in 6 months, and I went back in 6 months, and my numbers started getting better, and I started feeling better. And then I went back another 6 months, or was it 3 months? So long ago, I don't even remember. And by this time I went, this is what I just want to do. I just have to tell people about it. So Dr. Kelly, it was Nicholas Gonzalez, and we were studying under Dr. Kelly. I didn't realize at the time how profound that was, how blessed I was to be in the presence of Dr. Kelly. And then he moved to Grapevine, Texas. No, I'm sorry, he moved to Winthrop, Washington from Grapevine, Texas. And I went to see him there. And when my son, he's 41 now, was 6 weeks old, Kelly was closing up his practice. And my son, I said, well, I want Dr. Kelly to test my son and to see and so when my son Josh was 6 weeks old, we flew to Winthrop, Washington, cold as can be, snow, and yeah, he tested up fine. But I was very blessed, and and then through the years, it just, I left acting and just started to pursue this mind body world of taking it all in. There's so much stuff out there. There's so much stuff out there, and that can be helpful to a person on their journey to health.
So what did you said you took a bunch of enzyme, took a bunch of supplements, you did coffee enemas. I mean, and then obviously, clean out all the chemicals, and we got chemicals all over, things we put on our body.
And now it's even worse. I mean, we didn't have chemtrails back then and different things like that. So
we work so hard now to make sure that we really mess up our bodies. So how I'm curious, could you kind of give a little bit of a rundown or kind of get a feeling of what the program looked like the enzymes? What are they? Just regular digestive enzymes? What
there
are
were different, a lot of pancreatic enzymes.
Okay.
I mean, that was one of Dr. Kelly's theories is, the cancer grows and you need to eat it up. And that's and we don't have enzymes in our body anymore, because anything that you eat that's cooked over 118 degrees destroys the enzymes. And years later, I guess it was 5 years ago, I opened up a 100% raw vegan gourmet restaurant, which I closed about 6 months before the shutdown, which thank you again, God, so thank you, because it would have just done me in. But, Kelly had different metabolic types, so it wasn't necessarily that you had to be a raw vegan. It depended on the metabolic type that you fell under. A lot different than a blood type, but he had his own way of doing it. But we need enzymes, and people, if you're going to eat cooked food, you need to have enzymes in your body. And that's a whole other thing, because, one of the things I specialize in is the gut now, because, it's interesting because I've done Chinese medicine for over 30 years. And in Chinese medicine, they don't have systems. They have elements: earth, water, fire, metal, wood. We have systems: the immune, the circulatory, the endocrine, the digestion, and respiratory. It corresponds to their elements. Like our circulatory is their water, our hormonal and endocrine is their fire. They believe that when a woman's fire goes out is when she starts to age. So you need to keep that fire stoked. But our digestive system is their earth. So everything revolves around the earth. And a lot of people are taking all this nutrition and they're not absorbing it, because I think 90% of the people walking around have leaky gut. And that means the toxins are being put out into the system. We're not absorbing the nutrients that we think that we're taking. And then it gets even to another degree is, how do you know the nutrients that you're taking is right for your body? Because somebody's medicine is somebody else's poison.
So how would you determine that?
I actually work with a science lab that does DNA testing,
Mm-hmm.
and we test for actionable genes. And there's a healthy aging report. And so we test for, you can't change your genes, but you can change what you're predisposed to. And because we're 80% nature and 20% nurture. So, it's an incredible report. And the report tells you whether you got the mutant gene from one parent or both parents. The DNA is called SNP, single nucleotide polymorphisms. And we all need to know what we're predisposed to. It's like, you're going to have a fire in your house. Are you just going to sit there?
Yeah.
Or are you going to be armed with a fire extinguisher? We need to know. The more information we know about our bodies, the more we can take care of it. Because medicine is just treating the symptom and not the source.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what is going on in our bodies.
No, and it's
Not
the
a
same.
kidney walking around. We're not a liver walking around. We're a mind, body, spirit. We're a full human being.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and that's exactly, it's the same in oncology, is that medical oncology, they go after the symptom, and the tumor is just a symptom. Yeah, it is just the body expressing a dysfunction, but it is not the cause. And so you have exactly what you're saying. You get a look at what are the underlying factors, and then you get a look at what is the genetic makeup. I mean, what is an individual's genetic weaknesses, and what can we do to strengthen those weaknesses so we can optimize that system?
Exactly. And yeah, so that's kind of where I've evolved to. I mean, the work I'm doing now is kind of like what Kelly was doing. I mean, he did I don't know what he was doing. I don't think anybody ever did. It was just like, it was like his own thing. But I feel like I'm real close to that now with this genetic DNA testing that I work with. And, the results have been, astounding, because, when a client comes, or I know they don't even have to come to me. Let's find out what's going on in your body. Let's see what mutant genes you have. Let's see if you have the MTHFR gene. And what's interesting? You know about the MTHF, a little side note, about the MTHFR gene.
Yeah.
So,
Compton, yeah.
So every pregnant woman that goes to an OBGYN, they put that pregnant woman on folic acid. And if you have that mutant gene, you shouldn't be having that. You need it in the form of folate. I mean, every OBGYN needs to test a pregnant woman when they come in. It's the first thing they should do, to see if they have that gene, to see what kind of, if they have the mutation.
And actually, if you are taking, folic acid and you have that mutation, and you're not able to methylate appropriately, you're actually promoting cancer processes with
Right.
the folic acid that you're taking.
Right. That's my parrot.
Yeah.
That's my parrot. I have a parrot. So hopefully he won't start singing in the rain.
Oh, I love it. Well, I don't mind. A little extra entertainment. Does he tap dance too?
Does he have what?
Tap dance as well, singing in the rain?
No, but he can do a Stevie Wonder impersonation.
Okay, I love it.
I don't want to say it, because then he'll hear it and he may want to start.
That gets all excited, brings out the cane. And so, and with going back kind of to the enzymes, and the key with his protocol, like you mentioned, is that we don't produce enough pancreatic enzymes. And I mean, why are the enzymes so important in regard to cancer? I mean, we have lots of other enzymes, so why the pancreatic?
Because he says that it eats up the cancer.
Yeah.
When a woman's pregnant, she gets cancer cells. Normally, that's what happens. But a healthy body will get rid of that.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like the pancreatic enzymes are like the police in the body, policing the body, policing it for cancer cells and breaking them down.
I mean, it's amazing, amylase, protease, lipase, when people start taking that,
Mm-hmm.
And then working on the gut, it's a game changer. There's so much needless suffering, and unfortunately, and as you and I know, the medical profession doesn't, they don't know anything about nutrition because there's no money in it.
No. Yeah,
They're-
symptom management is what you make money from. You don't make money on fixing something.
Right. And it's so sad that and people take, and a pill will never bring you back to a state of health.
Mm-hmm.
A drug will never bring you back to a state of health. It's treating the symptom and not the source. Get to the source.
So it's really, really cool. I mean, so here you're studying with Dr. Kelly, and then alongside with Nick Gonzalez, another titan, in this field in regard to cancer. So it's really cool to rub shoulders with them, and then
I didn't know. I met Nick. It was really interesting. So Steve McQueen, the actor, he had cancer, and he was in Mexico, and he was doing some of Dr. Kelly's protocols. He wouldn't do it all. He didn't want to do the coffee enemas, and they were bringing him Haagen-Dazs ice cream in and all that. And I get a call from Dr. Kelly. He says, I'm having clients come in from all over the world. They want to do a press conference. Will you be there? I said, absolutely. So he called for a press conference, and I'll never forget it. I can't even begin to tell you, there were hundreds of people that showed up for this press conference. And the press just came and annihilated Dr. Kelly, or tried to. And he's just such a calm man, and just was answering questions. And at the end of this press conference, Dr. Kelly said, all these people that are here, I have helped. I'd like you to come back at 3:00 and you can interview any of them. No one showed up. Not one person from the press showed up. And I guess that was by this time, 1980, I don't know, maybe 1981.
Yeah.
Maybe when Steve McQueen was dying. And that night I met Nick. And Nick Gonzalez and I and Dr. Kelly went on some radio show talking about the Kelly protocols and all that. So that was my introduction to Nick.
How fun.
I just talked to the Bollingers, the Bollingers, the Truth About Cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just saw Charlene. She was actually speaking in LA at an event. And so we were talking back. And when I told her that, because she's talking about doing her next Truth About Cancer event. She goes, you knew Dr. Kelly? I went, yeah. And then I get this message from you. It's like, so for some reason, Dr. Kelly's coming back into the fold.
Yeah, how funny. It's
And rightly so. There's so many people that are, have all these things. But I mean, I can't tell you how many people I met that he helped.
Yeah. I mean, like your own story. I mean, here you have stage 4. You have uterine going into stomach and then coughing up blood, and that is today, with the best medical care we have now, it's still a death sentence. I mean, you're still going to die no matter what they do. And at that time, now you're here talking about it. So 74. What do we got? That's 40. Was that 48 years later?
Years.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it. Like 3 years later.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah, since you're only 29, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. Good. So here we're talking about it.
I feel really. It's funny. I feel really blessed that I got cancer.
Yeah.
I call it a health opportunity, because the subconscious doesn't know, a truth from a lie. So every time you say, I have, you're just implementing that which you do not want. So you need to change your thoughts also. So I don't usually like to tell people where I had it and all that. And I had an health opportunity, an opportunity for me to look in and check out and see what was going on and work through it that way. And I feel so blessed because I was like a pioneer with Dr. Kelly and, but I remember back in those days telling people, as the years got more and hearing people that got cancer and all that, oh, you got to do this and you got to do, look at me like I'm crazy.
So what are some of the stories that you've heard? I mean, that people that you've helped, that Dr. Kelly helped, that have gone through.
There was a woman who was blind, literally blind for years. And I went one day and I'm sitting in the office with her. And she said to me, I was blind, and Dr. Kelly's protocol, I was able to see. I'm going, really? This was the second time that I saw Dr. Kelly, grapevine.
Yeah.
It was real interesting because my dad was real sick. He died when he was 56 years old of his fifth heart attack. And I flew to Philadelphia and I took his blood and I brought it back to Dr. Kelly because I wanted Dr. Kelly to check out, he gave an extensive report, and Dr. Kelly said he has no amino acids in his heart. If he doesn't get them within 6 months, he's going to be dead. So I went back to Philadelphia, showed, my mother was such a, whatever the doctor said, whatever the doctor said, you need to follow, and, nothing I said matter. I said, Mom, we just need to give him some amino acids. And the day before my father died, like 5 months later, he was in the hospital. My mother called me up and I'll never forget it. She said, do you know he has no amino acids in his heart? The next day, my father was dead. I was very close with my dad.
So they never took the amino acids?
No, because the doctor didn't prescribe it.
No.
You're talking about old school, the doctors in white coats are God. And
yeah, I mean, it's still like that. I mean, especially the older generation. I mean, they are still in that mindset. And I see it. I see it again and again.
Yeah. It's well, look what's happening with the jab.
Exactly.
Nixon.
Yeah, the war on whatever, it's the war on humanity.
I mean, the best way to control somebody is through fear. And the media did a really good job. They have spent 2 years making people so fearful that they will stand in line for an experimental biological agent that has no long-term studies and inject themselves. And unfortunately, they're going to pay the price. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I've spoken at length with like Dr. Judy about this, and Mary Holland, the Children's Health.
Yeah, they're all friends of mine. Judy, Sherry Tenpenny.
Yeah. It's atrocious.
It's unfortunate, and they still don't get it.
No.
That I got the jab, and I got COVID. Thank God I got the jab.
I thought the original said that you're not going to get COVID.
80% of the people getting COVID are vaccinated. What does that tell you? I mean, put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah.
How about the one the other day? I just posted on my private Instagram. A kid was so happy that he passed his exam that he died of a heart attack. I mean, I mean,
that's normal, right?
right.
Yeah. And we have the sudden adult death syndrome, that's
Right.
normal.
Right.
Yeah, it's been around forever, but it was just this last year that I started to hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people are buying this. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah.
Myocarditis,
Mhm.
heart attacks, cancer, reoccurring cancer.
So I'm curious, because you, like myself, you deal with a lot of cancer patients. How many have you had that come to you that said, I had the jab and then right after I had cancer?
There's quite a few.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I mean, I have people flying in from all over the place.
They don't put the pieces of the puzzle together. I
No.
mean, one person after another is dying of a heart attack, dying of a heart attack, dying of a heart attack at 22.
Yeah.
And calling it natural causes.
Yeah. How many 22-year-olds, die of heart attacks?
Athletes dying on the field, but they're not putting it together.
No. Yeah. So yeah, have you, so when you have a person that, they got the jab and they come to you dealing with cancer, I mean, do they present similar? I mean, in the treatments that you offer and what you do they present in a similar fashion, or do you have to dress it a little bit differently?
I see where their consciousness is at, and I just go up a little bit level, because if I start, first of all, if I tell them your prognosis is slim, we need to get, I mean, there's things that you can do, but
Absolutely.
Yeah, things that you can do. First of all, it destroys your gut, so we need to work on your gut. That's first of all. And then you need to do some, some zeolite and different things that you can do. Can you fix it 100%? I don't think so. Do you?
Yeah, no. I was talking to Dr. Don Hubert. He retired as the assistant medical director for the armed forces, so he was a general, 5-star general, and his comment was that once it's in you, there's no way to get it out. I mean, it's in there and it's in there forever. So yeah,
spike protein, and I don't even want to be around people. I mean, I went to most of my friends and people that I hang out with are not. But I went to an event at someone's house and I could feel it. Within 20 minutes, I left.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around it. And it's also a consciousness.
Yeah, because it impacts your genetic material, which is your identity, who you are.
Well, it changes who you are.
Yeah.
They're messing with your DNA. And who was it that did Greg Braden? He did this whole thing about going back into thousands and thousands and thousands of years, finding out about your DNA. They found that God is in your DNA.
Yeah, divine code,
is in your DNA.
Yeah.
And what does this mRNA do? It's trying to take the God factor. I shouldn't be saying this, should I? It's trying to take the God factor out of your DNA. They're trying to get rid of God.
Yeah.
Critical race theory in school. They're trying to get rid of God.
Yeah, it's a layer upon layer, and that's the thing, is that they generate generate fear. So people are so worked up in their fear that they don't rely on God. They don't rely on their faith. They don't recognize the beautiful human being that they are, the amazing immune system that was given to them, the innate intelligence that exists, that's already there, that we have it. And they are so afraid that they're not leaning on the most powerful tool that exists, and that is within us. So then they look outside for solutions.
It's funny, because I thought about that the other day, is that all these people that went and got this biological agent have distanced themselves from the source, because God created us in his likeness and he didn't make a mistake. There are no mistakes. So you think he's going, hey, you take this shot because there's this man-made thing and it's going, no, we have what's called an immune system. And everything they do tries to destroy the immune system, from chemotherapy, from antibiotics. What does antibiotics do? Kills the bad bacteria, but kills the good bacteria. And every doctor should be putting if they're prescribing antibiotics, they should at least give them prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics.
I mean, your brain, your intelligence, your immune system, your health, all of that are directly connected to the biodiversity of your gut. And anytime you do antibiotics, you will then reduce that diversity tremendously, and that will impact your brain function, your neural function. And they also seen that your BMI, every time you do antibiotics, your BMI, your body mass index, goes up at least 1 point.
So it takes maybe 18 months to get antibiotics out of your system.
Yeah.
But if you're eating meat or chicken that's not grass-fed or range-free, you're getting antibiotics. So it's never going to get out of your system.
No.
Never. You have constantly, and I mean, how many people have gut problems? It's just incredible. I mean, it's amazing, you know. And now we've got glyphosate,
yeah,
which is so lethal that, you know, it's in everybody's gut. I mean, it's in everybody's gut.
Yeah, I mean, it kills, you know, the cycle. I mean, the reproduction cycle of your good bacteria in the gut.
Yeah,
that's what it does. So it's another way to destroy the gut, another way to destroy and like, you know, the gut is like our first brain. I mean, we have more neural intervention in the gut. We produce more neurotransmitters in the gut. You know, 70-80% of our immune system is along the gut. You know, and we produce minerals and amino acids and, you know,
gut-brain connection. You know, more and more information is coming out about the gut-brain connection.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the earth. In Chinese medicine, everything revolves around the earth. So that's the first thing that needs to be looked at. And it's interesting because, you know, I studied a lot of body work and Traeger and Heller work and Rolfing and all that. And so when somebody would come to me and say, you know, I've got stomach going on, I go, so what's going on in your life that you can't digest?
Exactly.
Because for every physical ailment, there is an emotional attachment, and that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I call it kind of like the three, and it's not me calling it. Yeah, it's a good friend of mine, Dr. Paul Anderson, when I was chatting with him, you know, saying that the three cores that's a foundation. And, you know, dealing with your mindset, that's number one. You know, your emotions, your connection, spiritual connection. I mean, that's number one. Your diet and exercise. If you got that triad, then you can start working on the rest. But you gotta have that solidly in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Body, mind, spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your book, I was looking at the different reviews. You know, you have the Hippocrates Institute, you know, saying that this is like the book, you know, that you need to get. I mean, outlines, you know, perfectly everything in regard to chemicals and how to get rid of them and what to do with them. And obviously Hippocrates Institute is like a premier place in regards to detoxification, and clean eating. Yeah. So if they give you their blessing, that's a huge shining medal on your book. So what are some of the key concepts in the book that, so people can understand, that this is something I really need to get while struggling with cancer?
So it's 20 different chapters and 20 areas of concern, from food to water to vaccines, what to do when you travel, what's in your home, and then solutions at the end of each chapter. And it's interesting because when the book was done, I go, there's something missing. What is missing? And I sat there and I kind of checked in and I went, toxic thoughts and emotions. Because you could be doing everything right. Mm-hmm. But if you have toxic thoughts and emotions, it's not going to work. And you know it as well as I. Two people can come in with the same disease. One gets better and one doesn't. What's the discerning factor?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about mindset. It's all how they view themselves, their relationships, the traumas that they haven't dealt with, and also the empowerment that they have. I mean, are they in a center of power, or have they given that away to somebody else?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I I hear it all the time. Well, people come and they're taking pills to treat their disease. I'm giving them nutrients to create their health. Mm-hmm. So it's a different mindset. Mm-hmm. And every time you take these nutrients and you put them in your body, you're creating health. And I'm sure you hear it. Oh, I got to take 6 pills or 7 pills a day. And I was taking 200 different things a day, whatever it takes, because
just the
how
pancreatic...
you do anything
yeah,
is
exactly.
how you do everything. And how you look at your journey into healing is going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I have patients coming in and they, deal with cancer, and then I tell them, well, you got to quit eating sugar. Well, I got to have my ice cream at night. So it sounds like, Joe McQueen, and they said, well, I can't. I mean, a little ice cream at night shouldn't make a difference. And tell them, well, cancer feeds sugar, and say, well, I can't stop my ice cream. That's like my thing. I've done it my whole life, and it hasn't hurt me. And well, I say, you have cancer. and then I say, well, you can choose, if you want to choose, you can choose between the ice cream or living. So if you continue eating the ice cream, you'll die. And if you stop eating ice cream and you change the way you're eating and you do this program, you have a chance of living. So what do you want to do?
Some people aren't willing to do that.
No. And
it was not an easy journey, what I did.
No.
And it's much easier to take a pill. Mm-hmm. It's much easier for some doctor to say, oh, you need, radiation and chemotherapy, because somebody's taking control of your life and you don't have to make a decision.
And you don't need to change your diet or anything, because they ask their oncologist and say, well, should I not eat, ice cream, or should I not eat bread or whatever?
No effect.
None whatsoever.
And to do an alternative journey is not easy. No. It's not easy, and it's costly, because they won't pay for any of it.
Exactly.
They've set that dynamic up.
Mm-hmm. Well, so death is cheap and easy. Life is hard and expensive. So yeah, you're right.
But we are the culmination of the choices that we make. Mm-hmm. That's what your life is. In everything that we do, we are the culmination of the choices that we make. Mm-hmm. So choose wisely. You know, if you can't have if you have a hard time taking a pill, and I look at that and I go, like, get over it. Get over it. What I had to do on my own, you know, if I'm not going to care more, which I usually do, care more about your health than you do, you need to make some sacrifices.
I mean, here you are, you know, spitting up blood, you know, you're being by yourself, no real support system.
No support system.
No, and you're doing 200 pills a day, coffee enemas and all these things all by yourself, you know, single lady. And, you know, and you did it. And here you are talking about it.
Yeah.
And here.
I've had cancer twice since then.
Oh, have you really? Okay.
Yeah, I have. And both times I, thank you, did it alternatively as well.
And you just turned up the program. You know, you found out I have cancer. It's just showed up again, and you turned up the program, and then cleared it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in a different place. I had breast cancer.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's, you know, and then you get embarrassed. You know, there's another thing I didn't tell anybody because, well, how did you got cancer? How do you know, you're doing all this? Yeah, I live in a toxic world. I live in a toxic world. And the bottom line is 1 or 2 people are going to get some form of cancer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. You know, and I got so many things, you know, it's like I say, I can't get out of my house till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've got my infrared sauna, I've got my swing machine, I got my PMF machine, and I'm making my smoothies. And I thought, oh my God, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, time for Pilates.
And then your evening routine. No, just kidding.
Oh yeah, take my baths to get rid of the toxins that happen during the day. But you know,
my gratitude journals, my exercise, my
all of it. And I love every part of it. Every part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good at your age. I work at it.
Yeah.
Do I now? You know.
So how many, for people just to kind of understand, so the pancreatic enzyme pills, how many of those per day did you eat? I mean, it's like 70 plus pills, right?
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It
Yeah.
was an awful lot. 2 to 3 coffee enemas a day. You know, I still do. I love coffee enemas. I think that's one of the greatest things somebody can do. Yeah.
Yes, I was interviewing Dr. Vickers over, you know, the one that runs the Gerson clinic, you know, that they had for the Gerson, and he was talking about, you know, Gerson's daughter, you know, that before she passed away, and she'd been doing coffee enemas every day for, I don't know, 40 years or so, and you know, so you know, they've been doing it forever, and they've done great, so people can do them forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly used to say, the only thing you need to use your stove for is to make your coffee.
The rest you should eat it raw, so it has the enzymes in it. Yeah.
For me, you know, I did very well on raw. Some people need meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, some people need meat. And
well, what if there is like a final, I know we covered a lot, you know, during our interview, is there kind of final pearls of wisdom that you feel is something that you learned yourself, or that you see with the patients that you're working on, that really is important for people that have been newly diagnosed to understand and know? What is there something that you feel?
You know, I think we were talking about faith before. I think we've gotten so far away from our gut, trusting our gut. You know, I mean, take your power back and look at it as a journey. If you've gone onto my website, I talk about that. You know, I try to get rid of the fears. I mean, Dr. Kelly used to say, you know, cancer's, you know, I look at it like a cold. Well, it's hard to look at it like a cold when you're in the midst of it, and it's scary. And then you go to the medical, you know, I had, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, breast cancer, and I went and had a ultrasound, and the doctor saying to me, if you don't get rid of this, you're going to be dead in a year. We're not taking anything out. We're not. Give me a minute, and then I had to assess, okay, because there's many people in the alternative world now. I didn't have that, that choice. I only knew Dr. Kelly. But now there's the Hippocrates and Cancer Institute in Hope for Cancer in Mexico, and there's all. I mean, I would go down to Optimum Health Institute, 2-3 times a year, and I've heard many cures for cancer there. Just changing what you eat and changing your mindset, and checking in, and getting with nature and walking, getting outside and putting your feet in the earth and earthing and connecting. We're so disconnected. And when we're in fear, we're totally disconnected.
Yeah. No, and fear, I mean, it robs the immune system of its intelligence, and it downregulates immune system. So, and that's like the last thing you should do if you want to battle anything that relates to any kind of infectious agents or cancer, or that's the last thing you want to do. So Sharyn, if people they want to get in touch with you, they want to get your book, they want to learn about all the different things that you're doing, where should they go, and how should they get the book?
They can go to my website, wintersway.com, WYNTERSWAY.com, and they can get in touch with me there. And that's the best way. They can get my book, The Pure Cure, on Amazon. It's on Amazon. Just Google The Pure Cure, but wintersway.com is the best way to get in touch with me. WYNTERS.com.
Yeah, and then they can see all the cool movies that you've been in, and all the series, and the photos of you.
Then they can go to my regular website, SharynWynters.com.
Okay.
That's my other website, but Winters Way is my health website. And yours is my celebrity website.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much. That is awesome. Thank you.